you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And you got Jaime and Fuego, yeah.
And we are here to review a couple of brand new movies. We're starting off with Alien Romulus, which was, I think it was both of our most anticipated film of the year when we did the most anticipated list back at the beginning of the year. And so there was a lot riding on this as far as, you know, not only it being our most anticipated, but also it being a new Alien movie after a lot of widespread disappointment in the last two films, although I was one of the people that actually liked Covenant. And while I didn't like Prometheus at first, I did come to like it on repeat viewings. But yeah, I went into this very excited, obviously being directed by Fede Alvarez and also taking place between Alien 1 and 2. And so there was a lot that was already in place for me to like about this movie, and I will say that I did very much like this movie. And the only thing I've heard about it is that the third act has been a bit controversial as far as whether or not you like it, and I am one of the people that very much liked it for reasons that are probably going to piss some people off, but I very much enjoyed Alien Romulus. I think that it was a very entertaining movie, but it is not my favorite movie of the year. That will indeed go to the other film that we're going to review today. So
yeah, I saw you posting on the socials about that, man. So looking forward to that discussion as well. So, man, Alien is legit. The second Aliens film, I was talking with you about this last weekend. Second Aliens film, James Cameron's more action-centric entry. It's my favorite movie of all time. It's tied with Clerks, more or less, but they're such drastically different movies. I've always said that I think I can kind of have them, side by side because of their drastic difference. And so, especially with Fede, how much the Evil Dead remake grew on me over the years, the fact that Don't Breathe kicked ass. I mean, yeah, he's a very talented actor. And so I did have pretty high hopes for this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's on level with Prometheus in some ways for me, as far as like some of the lore building, the action quality and whatnot. But the one thing that I hit the socials about right away, it's very much, I'm calling it why Alien at this particular point, most notably because of the cast and the fact that they're all so wet behind the ears. And it in some ways it feels like, Alien for the Euphoria crowd, so to speak. They're kind of taking a stab at that, for better or for worse. I thought that as far as overalls, I did like it, especially like the third act had some banger moments in it, man, especially as far as action set pieces go. One with Zero Gravity that I really dug. Mm-hmm. So, it was imaginative. You could tell it came from a place of love. And that our two lead characters I thought were excellent. Kaylee Spaney especially. I saw she was in Civil War earlier this year. She was great in the Priscilla biopic about Elvis's wife. And also the dude who played her brother. Who it's revealed in a lot of the press, but we're not going to say like what the deal is with him maybe until spoilers. I don't know if you wanted to cover that or not.
Well,
but
yeah, it does. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it, but I do. There were aspects of it that I had issues with, but as a whole, I did really dig it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, getting into the story of it all, it's about a young woman and her brother as they are living on a mining planet and basically trying to get off of it. She has earned her time off of the planet, but unfortunately, when she tries to capitalize on this, she is refuted and put into a position where if she's going to want to get off the planet, she's going to have to do it on her own terms. She runs across doesn't run across. A couple of the people that she knows turns out are a part of a group of people that have an idea of something that they can do that'll get everyone off of the planet. And this involves, unfortunately, running across some xenomorph life forms, as obviously would be clear by the fact that it's an alien movie. But yeah, and so when they get to the place they're going and they run across at first, of course, the face huggers as per usual, and then the grown Xeno, and it's basically essentially focusing on this core group for the entirety of the film, and if you buy into the group, you're going to buy into the film, and I was engaged the whole way. We're going to keep it spoiler free, and then we're going to record a separate spoiler discussion, because I do think there's quite a bit in this to discuss that is spoiler centric. So we'll keep this spoiler free for at least this review, but that's the long and short of it. And you know, it's a fight for survival and escape while vicious life forms are trying to kill them. And so the story worked for me. You know, there were obviously familiar beats. They were crafted that way. And, you know, being the guy that just finished writing the full-length Dylan's New Nightmare 2 that has quite a bit of fan service in there, I couldn't hate on it. You know, I was enjoying all of the things. You know, there were quite a bit of Easter eggs for people that are fans of the series. And I definitely was enjoying it for that and many other reasons. But yeah, the story, you know, it didn't need to be any deeper than we got. And it's usually a crew runs across xenomorphs by accident, you know, and this follows suit. So I thought the story played out fine.
Yeah, it was a little on the thin side for me, but I will second your notion that it didn't really have to be super in-depth. I guess some of the more interesting things we'll get to in the spoilers in that separate review, because there's some interconnectivity that with this taking place between the original Ridley Scott film and James Cameron's sequel. I didn't know if they were going to reach into some of these connections, and they did. And those aspects I actually really dug, because I'm a fan of those entries, which were a little more controversial without spoiling anything and stuff. And so most notably some stuff that goes down in the third act, which I thought was pretty rad, actually. And there's one, it was even beyond an Easter egg. It was like a fully hatched thing that played a pretty crucial part of the plot, and that bit I quite enjoyed. I thought it was a really, really cool bit of connective tissue and whatnot. For me, one of the only major gripes was the fact that aside from Rain and Andy, the two siblings, I thought all of the other characters were very one-dimensional, boring, not particularly well fleshed out. I didn't really give two craps about any of them, but the dynamic between our two leads, I thought was very engaging, really dug that. And I guess that's a decent segue into acting, because Spaney is our little Ripley Jr. of sorts, I guess you could kind of call her. I thought she was great, man. You know, she had a little bit more vulnerability than you've seen from some of the later iterations of Ripley, like tough as nails. You could tell that she was kind of adjusting to having to rise to the occasion, and just the way her whole kind of arc panned out and stuff and developed, I thought was really good. Same with how they do some modifications and alterations to the sibling character over the course of it, just how circumstances that they find themselves in alter some of the aspects of his character a little bit. And I thought the performance from him was really good too, especially since the language is altered at one particular point in the performance, and I thought both were pretty convincing. How about you, man, performance-wise?
Yeah, performance-wise, you know, I would tend to agree with you. I think that the two leads were the ones that were really given the flesh, and everyone else were basically, you know, kind of afterthoughty, it felt like. You know, there was a couple that we were supposed to care about that, you know, we basically learned about them through passing conversation, and it wasn't enough to build enough of a connection with anyone else. I do agree with you on that fact, but it doesn't mean any of the acting was bad. I think the acting was fine across the board. It's just, you know, a couple characters were given a lot more to chew on than the others, so to speak. And even in both Alien and Aliens, all of the characters were given plenty of time to be developed and, you know, to learn about them and to grow connections with them more so than this one. You know, so I will say that. Now, but like I said, that doesn't mean that anyone was poor or weak in the acting department. Everyone acquitted themselves just fine. It just wasn't, there wasn't anyone that I was like, oh my God, this person blew me away with their performance or anything like that. So
yeah, it is a pretty briskly paced film too, and even certain, like, I don't know, what's the word that I'm looking for? Certain life cycles of the creatures that we see in this movie, they move along a little more rapidly than we've seen in other entries. And so
I disagree. They all move.
Really?
It's always been a very quick life cycle. They just show us some of the things that we've never seen before in that life cycle. And so it feels like it's moving quicker but it's only because we're seeing something that happened just off screen and previous to a moment that we did get in the older films. At least that's the way I looked at it.
Okay.
So I didn't have that issue. Maybe other people will, like yourself, but I didn't run into that. There were some lore additions though that were interesting and choices, and but I didn't particularly mind any of them. I was like, okay, that's fine. It's a choice. Not necessarily what I thought would have happened, but it is what it is. We can talk about it in spoilers discussion, but yeah. Now, as far as filmmaking goes, I thought the cinematography was really well done. I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was utilized well for storytelling purposes. So I thought the actual filmmaking was great. I thought it was awesome. Especially, we get a lot more like kind of space stuff, I feel like, than we normally get in the Alien films. And I dug on that. I was like, cool. It's kind of like a mixture of, not a Star Wars, not a Star Trek, not anything crazy like that, but we get that sort of space. We spend some more time in space than I thought, and we get a bit more action out there than I'm used to, and I dug it. I thought it fit well, honestly.
Yeah, man, it was gorgeous when they're first leaving that planet that has 0 days of sunshine, as the little ticker gives you early in the flick, and they just see the sun for like the first time possibly. Our lead character Rain, she's just like dreamed about it, she says. But I thought that was great. And also like the utilization of like the rings around a particular planet, I thought were really cool, and some stuff they did in the third act. I don't know, all the space stuff was gorgeous. And then just some of the camera play that Fetty and his DP did. There's one in particular where it does this little camera spin, and you think one of the face huggers is on the ground, and then it spins and you see it's on the ceiling. Like, just little touches like that I thought were very inventive, and just added a new just kind of touch, I guess, to the visual approach of the entire proceeding. So I thought it was very slick. Give them that for sure.
I agree with that, and I wonder if some people are going to feel like it drags it out of the realm of Alien by doing so. I felt like it was in danger of that a couple of times, as far as what other people might think. I just felt like it was an evolution of the typical filmmaking of an Aliens film. You know what I mean? Usually it feels a bit more maybe stilted in its filmmaking approach than this one did. This one felt like it was a bit closer to a typical. I don't know quite how to say this. Like, I'm struggling to get it across, but it's not that it was a typical movie and not an Alien movie, but Fetty brought some things to it that hadn't been utilized in previous Alien movies, and so I thought it was really cool. But I feel like it might annoy some people because they might be like, it didn't feel like an Alien movie kind of thing. But maybe I'm wrong. Again, so far the response has been very positive, as I've sort of just seen at a glance. But I don't know. I feel like there might be a couple people that say that, but that's not a complaint I had. I loved all of those camera choices and everything, like you were saying.
Yeah, and as far as like going more modern with it, sure. I mean, maybe some aspects, but it's not like they went Prometheus, where it was supposed to be decades before the original film, and yet the tech was so vastly more beautiful looking. Because I just rewatched Prometheus like the other night ago, and just the effects in that, despite the fact that it's supposed to be so much further back, I don't know. It's something people have criticized. This one definitely was trying to recreate the older computer screens and some of the tech that you see in the original Alien film that kind of fit the continuity, I guess, a little bit more.
Stuff,
yeah, exactly. And so I thought that was cool, and the set designs were great. And this goes for broke with some of the stuff that I wasn't necessarily expecting to see that, you do get around to, as far as certain environments that they find on this particular space station. So I thought they were very well done.
Yeah, for sure. And the sound design and score was awesome. The sound design was on point, of course. What I loved about it is he didn't lean on score that much. He did at the times that were necessary, but he let a lot of the scenes just be silent. And in fact, the very intro where it's just space and the ship flying, like literally nothing until you get inside the ship. And I'm like, it's a choice, and it's a great choice. It's so cool because that's what it would be like, and that's
It's accurate.
stifling. It's stifling when you think about it. And so, but then score wise, there were homages to the first film, homages to the second film, and its own original stuff at times. I was on board for all of the sound and the music in this for sure.
Yeah, man, and I got to see it in Dolby, and so it was
same.
rumbling, and man, it's just, and anytime it's a big spectacle of a film like this, whether it's science fiction or superheroes or something like Twisters or whatever, I mean, that is my preferred, even over the IMAX, just because of the rumbling in the seats and really just making it so much more immersive of an experience. It definitely, it was like the icing on top.
It's so funny. I feel like the filmmakers are aware of the fact that Alien Isolation, the video game, really keyed the audio in on where, how the alien can be anywhere and everywhere, and it plays such a big factor into the scares, because I feel like they really played into that when our main character wasn't sure where the alien was, and the audio would like be way over here at a time, and so she'd like start to back away and stuff. Like it felt almost like the Alien Isolation video game in the way it was presented, which I loved. I was like,
Great
cool,
game.
give me that directional shit where the Xeno probably is, and you just back away from it, and I dug all of that. And then scare wise, I gotta say it was effective, but the scares for me were jump scares. There were about 4 good jump scares, and that's what it was. It was jump scares. There was definitely a segment where there's something that may scare people outside of the jump scare arena because of a particular design, and it's a really cool, unnerving design. But otherwise, the scares were it was 4 jump scares. Those were the times that I got scared and I jumped. They were crafted jump scares. Granted, they were good jump scares, but they were jump scares just the same. And a lot of people feel like those are cheap, so I do feel like I need to mention that.
Yeah, I still like them when they're orchestrated well enough.
Correct.
And I mean, this one for me was more about how Fetty has this talent of just building a very eerie kind of mood and everything. And I think the set design and even some of the gore when we did get it, it's not super CGI heavy. Now, granted, it's in there, but there was a lot of practical, as we've seen some of the behind the scenes bits of how we had these like remote controlled face huggers and stuff, which is pretty rad. So yeah, you can really tell that there was a lot of attention made to the practical and also like the set designs as well, when we see just how these creatures have ravaged the space station and some of that stuff. Major Dead Space vibes, but I know that's, that kind of goes without saying, because I think the only other one that was on a space station itself was Resurrection, right? And so everything else was on a planet or had planetary stuff going on as well. So yeah, man, I mean, as a whole, I had the little Y slide at the beginning, and I like my Harry Potters and things like that. It was more so just the cast than anything. But yeah, man, I mean, this redeemed itself, and I feel like, having read all those Dark Horse comics and seen, really positive, unique, like kind of one-shot stories, and then other ones, I enjoyed this. It would sit in the pantheon of some of the much better like mini series that Dark Horse did over all those years of having the property.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So yeah, effects wise, for the most part, it was on point. There was one effect that we won't spoil that I think is going to be something that is going to bother some people, not bother others. I feel like the earlier versions of it were not as good as the later versions of it, but it just so Fuego knows, it's something that he mentioned that I had to cut out. That effect is the one questionable effect. I think in the film, but I just went along with it because it was such a cool idea that I was like, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't care that it doesn't look perfect. I'm here for it. Yeah,
because for the sake of the story, it seemed like it fit just perfectly.
It really did.
It made a lot of sense. So.
Agreed. And I loved the reveal too. I was like, it's like a split second before I was like, oh, yeah. So yeah, cool.
It was cool.
So yeah, I mean, guys, overall, it's a very entertaining film. We both liked even the third act. So
I really liked the third act.
Yeah,
honestly. I thought the third act was maybe the strongest of the whole movie, at least for me personally. But
I dug it a lot. I liked the whole film. I'd give it probably a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this one, and it's not my favorite of the year, but it's probably going to be in the top 5 for sure. So at least as it is right now on August 15th, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it was a very solid 3.5, maybe close to 4, depending. I don't know. I'm going to see it again at some point this weekend. So yeah, give it a little more time to ruminate and give it a second look. So yeah,
fair enough. Well, why don't you guys let us know in the comments down below, what did you think of Alien Romulus? Try and keep it spoiler free in this video, and then you can come spoil on the spoilers video, which we'll try and put up probably in maybe we'll put that up Sunday. Maybe we'll put this up tonight on Thursday, and then we'll put Strange Darling up tomorrow. And then we can put the Alien spoilers up on Sunday, so everyone's had the weekend to see it, or something like that.
Cool.
Oh, no, maybe we'll put it up Saturday, because you and I are going to do a live news sesh on Sunday, correct?
Lots to catch up on, man.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So, yeah, lots of good stuff coming in the next 4 days. Romulus review tonight. Strange Darling review tomorrow, Romulus spoiler review on Saturday, and then live news chat on Sunday. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel with it you do. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias. I've been Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.
Stay scared.